Hey everyone, so welcome to part one of our video tutorial for communication between two microbits. So we're going to start off the given activity by using our blue basic blocks. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to set the on start. And this is a very important element because we're going to pick the radio frequency that we're using so that we can communicate between two microbits. And remember, the frequency must be the same in order for these two microbits to communicate between one another. So I'm going to go scroll down to my pink radio blocks, and I'm going to scroll down to the very bottom where it says radio set group. And in here I'm going to drag that underneath the start. I'm going to click within the text box, and I'm just going to use 2 as my radio frequency group. So I'm setting my group to 2. What I'm also going to do is, just for consistency's sake, I'm going to scroll down to the red blocks where it says variables. I'm going to click on those, and I'm going to create a variable by going to the top where it says make a variable, and I'm going to type in steps. So I've already done this, so when I hit OK, it'll prompt me that I already have made this block, which is fine. So I'm going to cancel. And now what I want to do is I want to set item to 0, but I'm not really concerned with setting a specific item. I'm just more cognizant of steps. So I want to set steps to 0. So I use the drop down arrow and select steps. So now every time I take a step, it's going to, or my partner takes a step rather, it's going to track it. Okay, but we're going to start at 0. So now what I want to do is I want to start using some of my functions and how to get a given output. So I'm going to use my inputs, and I'm going to go to on button A pressed and drag that over. And then I'm going to go back to my radio signal, but now I'm going to send an individual channel number. So I'm going to use radio send number at the very top, drag that down, and I've already set this up to be channel number 3. So I'm going to go in this text box and switch it to 3. And whatever number I send here is the number from the other microbit that is going to be sent in the message. So I know it seems confusing now, but it'll become ever more transparent as we go on. So right now I've got on button A pressed. Now I want to send on, when I press button B, I want something to happen. So I'm going to drag over on button A pressed, but use the drop down feature for button B. Then I'm going to go back to my radio block and radio send number, but instead of using the same channel, because I don't want to do that because then it'll send the same message, I want to hit 4. So I'm just going to go a little quicker. So now I'm going to go to on my input, on button A pressed. I'm going to use the drop down again to AB pressed. And I'm going to use my radio send number, and you can probably guess what number I'm going to use. I'm incrementally going up by 1, so I'm going to use 5. Now the only problem is I start running out and I have a couple more messages to send, so I'm going to go to my input and I'm going to use the on shake feature because there's an accelerometer in the microbit. So when I actually do that, I can send number 6. So now I have all the directional arrows I want to go in. But the last thing I have to do is I have to calculate the total number of steps that I've done. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to input. I'm going to go to on shake. But once you use the drop down on shake, you can use all these other functions. So I'm going to use tilt right. So when I tilt the microbit right, I want it to tell me the total number of steps. So I'm going to use my blue basic blocks, go to show number. But instead of show number 0, I'm going to go back to my variables and just take this steps block over and overloop that on top of the 0. That will give me the final code for what I need. Thanks everyone.